sure it does this just to trick me. Every week it's something just slightly different. So I am here, and it should be live on our page right now as well. Okay, so here we are. I just move that page a tiny bit and make it nice and straight. Okay. And I hope that you can see that. I can't actually see comments or anything yet, but I know I will be able to in a minute. There we go. Thank you, Jane. Yeah, much better. I had it all set up the same as last week, and then nothing. So I don't know. One of these days it'll go right the very first time, and then I'll be so surprised. So today's card that we're going to make is this little layout. I'm not entirely sure what it's called. People call it very different things. It's sort of like a little mini card on top of just a base. So it's just like a mini fold, bit of a fun fold card. But it's a really versatile one, and one that I like to use, especially for masculine cards. And mostly what I try and do is to have one card. Oh, let's turn that off. I have one card that I show you, and then I try and make maybe a masculine card and a feminine card, or a birthday card and a different occasion card. But today I'm going to do a female card, which could be get well, it could be an all occasion card, and then I'm going to make my masculine card for Father's Day. So this is the very simple basic fold, and I'm going to put this on here so you've got all the measurements, and that way you know what I'm talking about and what I've cut things to, and you don't have to worry too much about taking notes or anything. So for my first card, I'm going to use one of the new ink colours. I'm going to use this beautiful fresh freesia colour, and it's not a pinky freesia colour, it's like a very pale lilac. So it's a really pretty colour. It doesn't show up on the screen. I always find it looks a little bit more pink than it really is, but it's a really pretty colour. And I'm also going to use my Pansy Petals Designer Series paper. Now I did buy the whole suite of this. I've got the dies, I've got the stamps, and I've got the paper, and I haven't used it at all. So this is its first outing. I'm not using the dies, I'm only going to use the stamps. And it's one of the new sets where instead of having a little sheet over the top of the stamps that's printed so you know where the stamps fit, it's actually printed on the inside of the box, so which makes it much easier. So you know just when you put this on, let's see, you can see at a glance what's missing, where things fit, and I like that. The only problem I have with it is that I usually put a magnet sheet on here, and I will put all my dies in there as well. So I'm gonna have to think of something different, maybe a different way of storing them. But we're only going to use one of the sentiments from here today, so I don't have to worry about the sheets today. So the paper, it's really pretty, but it doesn't have to be just for feminine cards, because this gingham side can be masculine, and I love this one. I love the back of this. I think that's going to make some great cards, and I can see that making, you know, a very male orientated card, or even one for children, teenagers. I think that's a very versatile pattern. So put that back there. You see how the others all have this pretty gingham on? And I remember a couple of years ago we did have a 6x6 pack that was gingham. I think it was out for one of the Easters. I remember doing the little fable bunny rabbit on a gingham background. So this one's got like little flowers, and then the gingham that we saw. I quite like this one as well. That doesn't have to be too floral or feminine. But I'm actually going to use this piece. I was going to use this piece, but I've changed my mind. So let's pop those in there, and we'll get that out of the way. And I'll get my trimmer and we'll start to cut. Oh, I wonder why my Facebook page is showing that it's stopped. Jane, can you just tell me if you can still see it moving? My picture looks like it's frozen at the moment, and I'm not sure why. My phone is still videoing, but the on my iPad it's showing that it's stopped, so I'm not sure. Okay, and I can't see messages on my iPad. I can only see them on my phone. Not sure about that. So I'll just wait for a message from you, Jane, to let me know. Oh, looks fine. Okay. Right. So you'll have to tell me if it does stop, but otherwise I'm just going to make my card. Thank you, Jane. Now I can see comments on my iPad. So I'm not sure what that was in aid of. Okay, so the base that you need is going to be 5.5 by 4.25. So it's actually just a quarter sheet of cardstock. You don't need to fold it over because it's not a stand-up card on the back. It literally is just a quarter sheet. So I'm going to cut it down at 4.25. And I'll save this piece for a different card. I'll score it down the middle and use it as a base card. But I'm just going to cut this one at 5.5. Okay. Oh, I'll actually need this piece back to make the little flap, so I will get that back. I don't need that quarter though, let's put that out the way. And I'll cut the little mini base card at the same time. So I need 3.25 by 8.5. This is already 8.5. So let's cut it down to 3.25. And then make this 8.5. Because it is longer than 8.5, so, but I know it's going to be just right. So I'm going to pop it in here, measure all the way along to 8.5, and then I'm going to score it at 4.25. So how's the weather in Ontario, Jane? What am I going to expect tomorrow when I land? Do I need Wellington boots, or is it going to be a sunscreen kind of a day? Not quite sure. When I looked last week, it was a little bit sort of humid, and I'm not always very good with humid. So I'm hoping it's not too humid. Okay, I've got my white piece already cut at 3 by 4, and that's going to go on the little mini card. And I need my DSP cut to the same size, so 3 by 4. And what I usually do with a 12 by 12 is I will cut it in 4-inch strips, and that way I seem to get the most out of it. Still can't just see on here. I'm just gonna see if it's still recording. I think it is. It's showing that it's recording on my phone. So I'm not entirely sure why it isn't showing on the computer. Oh, excuse me a second. No, I can't see why it isn't showing. I'm just going to refresh that page and see if it'll come back up. If I reload it, it is storming outside, so I'm wondering if that's why. Okay. Okay, well, So I'm going to cut a 4-inch strip off here. Oh, now it's live again. I hope you didn't miss too much there. Okay. And now I'm going to use my bigger piece because I want this to be just 3 inches across and then 4 inches down. So I'm going to just take a 3-inch piece off. And I want to have a little bit of the purple. So I'm going to cut that down to 4. And I just want a little bit more purple than is showing there. So I think what I might do is I might just trim a little bit off the bottom here. And I know that if I've got an inch piece, I can use that in different cards because I want to have this flower. So let's cut that at 4. There we go. And we can get rid of that. I don't need that anymore. Let's get all our pieces ready. So I've got my base piece, and you'll see on this one I had designer series paper on the back, but this time I'm going to use a basic white card, and I've actually run it through the cut and emboss machine with this greenery stitched die, which is one of the new ones. And again, I only just got this week, so I haven't used it before, but it is much bigger than a card front, because we know this is the whole of a card front. And can you see how it's much bigger? So you could emboss the whole of a card front with it, which is nice. I like the bigger dies like that. Oh, let's pop that back onto full screen. And now I can see comments again. Okay. Yeah, I've only just got your comment, Jane, on the magnetic sheet. I think I might just tuck it inside with the stamps. I think that's a good idea. Normally I buy those adhesive ones and have them stuck down, but just tucked inside would be good. Okay, right, so this is going to be attached to our base, and remember, it's not folded over, it's just 1/4 sheet. Oh, I'm just going to, excuse my reach, just going to get my glue. I'm going to put it down with liquid glue. Wasn't sure which way was the right way up then. Ooh, it's nice. It's going to look really pretty. I can see this in different colours on a card base as well. I think that would look nice. Okay, and while that dries, let's just make our mini card. So here's our little mini piece just folded in half, and we just need to have the designer series paper on the front. Oh, it's just raining again here. You might hear the thunder and the lightning. It always seems to wait until it's time for my Facebook Live. And as soon as I come upstairs, ready to do that, then the storm comes. Oh well, I'm sure it will be fine. Okay, and then our little white piece we're going to put inside. I'm not going to stamp anything on there. I'm going to leave that purely for writing in. But I am going to stamp my sentiment, and what I've chosen is this one. The little things you do make such a big difference. I thought that would be really nice for a thank you card. So I've got just a little piece of basic white and my memento ink. I've actually packed a lot of my craft things to take away with me when I go to Ontario tomorrow, and so it was a bit difficult finding enough stamp blocks and which inks I needed, but we're going to have fun stamping with my daughter. Oh, isn't that nice? Doesn't that print nicely? Very nice. I like that font. That's all the stamping we need to do. And on the first one, you notice that I used circles. I actually used my punches. I think a lot of people still have all of their punches, so I'm going to use mine. If you don't have punches, you could use the layering circles and just choose two that you think, that work. I've got my 1 3/4 here, but I know that's already too small. So I've got my 2-inch circle, and I'm going to try with the 2-inch. Yep, that looks about right. Let's just get it in there straight and in the middle. So if you've still got your punches, and I find them much faster than using dies. I don't want to get rid of mine. I'm still going to be using them. Okay, now I've got my 2 1/4 punch because that's just 1/4 inch bigger. So let me have a look, see if that little offcut will fit in. Ooh, it just does look just perfect. Okay, so let's pop that punch down because I don't need that anymore. And let's attach this to the fresh freesia. Oh, here comes the rain. Okay, just tap that down to dry, and then we can start to assemble our card. Now, it is a really easy layout, but you can choose whether you have this to go in the middle, whether you have it off to the side a little bit. It really depends on just what you feel like. You know, if you want to have it to the side, it gives you a little bit more space at the right hand side for the sentiment. You could put the sentiment in the front here. I actually like it for some of them just in the middle with the sentiment right in the middle like this. So I think that's what I'm going to do with this one. And I'm going to put it down with tear and tape just because of that die cut piece I've got here. I'm not sure if the glue will just soak in there and it'll take a bit longer to dry. So I'm just going to use my tear and tape on it. Just getting notification. What is that? Oh, it's just saying that there's a storm. I thought it was something from Facebook. No, it's just the news telling me there's a storm and a tornado out to the west of us. So, but that's okay. It's not here. It's quite a little way away from us. And I'm sorry, I can't see comments, so I do apologise if you're asking me something and I just can't see them. Again, let's pop that down right in the middle. And I'm going to use dimensionals just to stand this up a little bit. I'll just pop a couple on. And then I'm going to put it down towards the bottom, just so I can still see that little, almost like a gladioli. So I can just still see that. And then I don't want to put ribbon on, but I think I will put some of my twine on. I'll just tie a little bow, and I think I'll use my bow tire today. I don't always use these, but it is handy if you have a lot of bows to tie and you want them all a particular size. I do think this is really easy to use. So I bought mine from a craft shop, but I know you can buy them on Amazon. And I've seen quite a few people whose very handy husbands have made them out of a piece of wood, or one lady, her son had made it as a project at school. And all I do is I just put the twine or the ribbon round. I choose which size I want and move the pegs along. And then I just put it round and I put this tail under and over and tie a bow. Whoops. So if you tie the knot, that will make the little bow, and you can move it along a little bit. So if you haven't got the knot right in the middle, it doesn't matter, because you can move it until you pull it tight. It's movable. Okay, and then let's just cut that little piece off. Make the tails both the same length. And let's find a glue dot and add that on. Okay. Now I don't like the glue dots on this other side of the paper. I've got used to them being on this piece, and I find it quite difficult to just retrain myself to go back to getting them at this side. But I did hear that they might be changing back again, because a lot of demonstrators have asked if we can go back to how they used to be. I find that I waste more this way, because I'll pop this down and this piece with all the little sticky dots on, I end up sticking it on my page or something. So I'll be glad if we do go back. Okay, I'm just going to put it right at the bottom there. You could put little embellishments on instead, if you didn't want to make a little bow. There we go. Okay, so there's my first card with this layout, and it's a really pretty, easy little card. Now you can write your sentiment in here, or you could even stamp an image in there and still write a sentiment. But if you needed a bit more space, you could always put another little piece of the basic white on the back, and you could have some more there. I do want to make an envelope to go with it. So I've got an envelope here, and I'm going to use some of my paper so that it matches. And I know I need a piece that's 2 1/4 by 5 3/4 for the envelope. So I'm just going to cut a piece of this. I'm going to cut it at 6. And that's actually why I cut this piece just at the 3 inches, because I knew that way I can use them for card bases, or I can just use it now for my envelope. So if I cut it at 2 1/4, I'm going to save this piece so I can use that on the inside of a card. And then I'm going to just put glue just on the flap here. And I usually keep it closed while I'm putting the glue on, just so that when I pick it up, you know, the flap doesn't push itself open and I end up sticking it on my mat or something. And then I just line up this top with the very edge here. You've got a little bit of leeway left to right, so you can just move it along. If you use the liquid glue, you've got a few minutes before it dries fully. Okay, and then I'm just going to use my scissors. It's a really easy card. It's pretty because our designer series paper is so nice, Jane, but it's a really easy layout. And you know me, I love doing some fun folds, and I love doing some of the more complicated cards, but when I'm making a lot of cards, I want to use layouts that I know work time and time again. So let me see where I put my card. Oh, here we go. So there's our first card, which is a little bit more feminine. My second card is going to be the masculine one. So I'm just going to clear a little bit of space on my desk. Okay. And I'm using still one of the new designer series papers, and all the same sizings and everything that we've just used. But I'm using this paper, which is the Beauty of the Earth designer series paper. And this is for one of the suites really early on that has some beautiful trees, and I've used it for some of my swap cards. And it's really early in the book. Let me just find it. This one. I love some of these sentiments. And what I also like is that you've got the little rectangular dies, and I like rectangles and simple shapes if I'm making masculine cards. I think that tends to look really nice. I don't want something flowery, and I don't want, you know, scalloped edges or anything, but I do like those two simple dies for that. And also, I'm not sure how easy it is to see, These are the dies. This tree, when you cut that out, it is so beautiful. You can cut out the foliage just with one of the papers. You can use this green motley one, or you can see here they've used the red and brown and autumn colours, and it really does look pretty. I've seen some really nice examples on Pinterest and for some of my swap cards. So I like this one. But I also love this piece. And you saw me make a card last week on my YouTube channel, and I used this. I think actually it was a couple of weeks ago, and I made that arrow fold card, and I'm using it again today. So this is a pretty side, but I love it for this side. I'm just going to pop that down, and let's get all our pieces in. And this time I've already cut all of my card, and I've cut it in Night of Navy. So my base is at 5.5 by 4.25, and my white piece to go on the, oh, that's my envelope, my white piece to go on the top. This time I ran it through the embossing folder, and I used this one, the painted texture embossing folder. It's one of the thicker folders, and it's like a much more 3D. You get a deeper embossing on it and a deeper pattern, and this is how it comes out. And you can use either side. I can't really tell much of a difference. It's not like this one is all debossed and you can only use it this way up. I actually like both sides. I do find though that it needs a little bit more glue, because it will go deeper just because the embossing is deep. Some of the like the base part of it, it's quite deep, so you just need a little bit more glue, and to make sure that it's in all those little nooks and crannies. Okay, and then I'm going to pop it onto here. There we go. And I like that already. I love navy and white. I think it always looks so smart. Okay, now I've got my little mini card cut. That's the 8.5 by 3.25 and scored at 4.25. I've got my little piece of white card for the inside, and I think I'll attach that right now. Oh, the sunshine's coming out now. The storm's passing. It's going off. I think it's going into Calgary. So it's skirted round us a bit. That's nice though. Means the golfers will be back outside soon as well. They stop as soon as there's any rain, and then the minute the rain stops, they're back again. Okay, now here's my little piece of designer series paper that I've got for the front, and I'm going to stamp that first before we attach it. So let me find, where's my stamps gone? Oh, here they are. Here they are. So I've got them already mounted, and I'm using the Sailing Home set. And this time I'm going to use the little yacht and the little birds, and that's all. I usually have in here lots of bits and pieces that I have left over from other projects. So I might even take one of these lighthouses. I don't know if I'll use it yet. Let's get it ready in case. And I've got my Night of Navy ink, and I'm just going to stamp straight onto the designer series paper. And I think sometimes we forget that you can stamp on designer series paper and think we always have to be stamping on card, and we don't at all. I'm going to pop that right in the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to find those little birds that there are, and I'm going to stamp this in Night of Navy as well. I'm going to pop them just up here. Okay. And I'm actually making this as a Father's Day card for my husband, because we'll be away for Father's Day, and so I wanted to be able to take just a little card for him, and so this will be his card. I'm going to attach this to the front, and I'm really sorry if anybody's sending me messages. I just can't see them appearing on my Facebook page, and I don't know why. It's showing me that there are 25 comments, but I can't access them. I don't know why. Okay, now this time, instead of putting the mini card in the middle or a bit to the left, I'm actually putting it all the way to the left. And again, I'm going to put it on with tear and tape just because of that embossed piece. I don't want it to be moving. Let's put this on here. And tear and tape makes such an easy adhesive anyway. If I'm using tear and tape on something and it's a 3D project, maybe like a box or a carton to put treats in or something, as well as the tear and tape, I will put liquid glue down over it too. And that way, let me just take these off and then I'll show you. If you put liquid glue over, it will adhere much better as they both dry. But it also means that where this tear and tape is, it will still be movable. It will mean that you can put it on and move it slightly. If it was just the tear and tape, you wouldn't be able to do that. But just that little bit of liquid glue, I find that you can just have that wiggle room. Okay, so I'm lining that up right at the edge. Right, this was easy to line up, so I didn't really need wiggle room, but just to show you. Okay, I might even put this on the inside, I don't know. Doesn't give me an awful lot of room to write, but probably enough. I think I will. I'm going to pop that inside. There we go. I can write round here. And if I need a bit more, I can always put another little white piece up here or on the back. Now for my sentiment, oh, and I've got my card to do as my envelope to do as well. Let's do the envelope first, actually, because I haven't cleaned my stamp. So I'm just gonna put my yacht on the front. I'm going to move that envelope flap out of the way just in case when I'm stamping that little ridge there as it goes through. I find that sometimes I don't get the best result. Sometimes it looks like I've rocked the stamp, or I might have an extra little bit of ink going across. So I always undo the fold just for that. Okay, I'll pop that to dry and let's go back to our card. So I'm going to use for my sentiment something from A Good Man, and I want this piece. Being a good dad starts with being a good man. And it's a red rubber stamp set, but it's a nice one. And I only need a little scrap. But it's only a narrow little stamp, so I don't need much. So what sort of crafting are you doing at the moment, Jane? Did you get your paper that you were ordering last week when I was using the well-suited paper? I know you said you liked that one. Didn't know if you'd got it yet. And then I'm going to cut it out with the rectangle dies. And all I'm going to do is look for 2 dies that will go one inside each other. And I don't know whether the smaller one fits. Let's see. Oh, it does look. That fits just perfectly. So I'm going to cut the sentiment out with the smaller one, and I'm going to cut my Night of Navy with the next size up. Okay, so just give me a moment, as I haven't brought my cut and emboss machine over. So I'm just going to move to the side and roll that through. Jane, I can't put any treats in anything. I've just seen on the phone that you said fuzzy peaches. There is not a fuzzy peach left. there are none. So here we are. Here's the sentiment cut out with the smallest rectangle and the backing cut with the next one. What I do like about this set as well are these other shapes. They're not all the same kind of a rectangle, if that makes sense, because these ones look are much narrower and they don't fit in with these, but this one is great for just a sentiment. So if it was a sentiment like this, just a nice long sentiment, and then you can do a backing piece with these ones. And this one I actually use a lot too, because quite a lot of our sentiments will fit either portrait or landscape in this one. And I find that I go to this actual rectangle more than any of the others because it is just perfect. I used it a lot at Christmas. I made some tiny tags and they just fitted in this rectangle. I could just use my hole punch and punch a hole here. And then I did them in Whisper White and stamped in green. And then I had a little piece of green card behind, exactly the same. So for small gifts that were going in our stockings and things, that was just the right size. So I'm hoping next year that we do stockings and we get to do bigger gifts, that we can actually have people around, which would be nice. I really miss seeing people, and I miss my in-person classes, but I know that we'll be able to have them all again soon. And while it's great having them on Zoom and everything, it will be so nice to meet. We'll have to see how we do during the summer. Okay, now this could go over here. You could put it on the front if I didn't have that stamped piece there, but I'm actually going to put it on the side here. I told you it was really versatile. You can make the cards look just however you want. Just by moving this little mini card, it makes all sorts of different designs. And you don't really use much cardstock or anything. So yeah, I'm just going to put it here. Okay, and again, I'd like to have a bit of something on. So I've got some white twine here. Let's see. I might just, let's see how it looks across here. I might do that, or I might just have a white bow instead. But you could put like rhinestones on. You could colour the rhinestones with one of your blender pens if you just have the clear rhinestones. I tend to colour a lot of mine, and I'll colour the pearls and things as well. Let me just find my box that has those in. So these kind of rhinestones, and let me just see. Here's some of my pearls, and you can see I've been colouring around those. Let me find some that are coloured. Here, look. So you just get a blender pen, or you can use a Sharpie marker, and you just colour over them. Give them a few seconds to dry, and that means the exact colour that you need. I don't know if I've got any ordinary rhinestones coloured in. Oh, there's a few still coloured. So it just means that you can buy the basic pack but have any colour you need. And I do have some thrifty ways, and that's one of them. So let's take off this little bow. I don't want it to be too sort of fancy and flouncy. I think a little white twine bow is always nice. And let's find those little dots again. Oop, stuck it to my finger. See, this is why I don't like this sort. That's why I like it on the other side, just because I'm not used to it being on that side. I like the adhesive on the other piece. I'll just get used to it, and that's when they'll change it again, you watch. Okay, and there we are. So let's find the envelope that it goes with. So there's my card for my husband for Father's Day. It's really simple, but you know, it's really effective. Navy and white always looks good anyway, but I think it's one of those designs that is a little bit different. You can change it up every time. No two cards are going to be the same, and people always love a handmade card. They don't mind what the design is, but when you've got an easy design like this, if you have to make a big batch of them, it's quick and it's easy, and you can just use what you have. You don't need any special folds, you don't need special tools. It's a really easy kind of design. So there we are. That's my cards for tonight. Now next week, my Facebook Live, I will be in Ontario to do it. I just need to remember that the time is different there. So it will be still 6 p.m. Mountain Time, but I need to remember not to start at 6 p.m. So I'll be starting at 8 p.m. Ontario time, I believe. Yeah, 8 p.m. Ontario time and still 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So I will see you next week. Don't forget as well to look out. This Saturday is the Casual Crafting Design Team Hop that I'm part of, and our theme is tic-tac-toe. So I still call it noughts and crosses, so whenever I see tic-tac-toe, I always think, what's that? But yeah, so it's a board where there are 9 different options, and you have to make a line like you would in tic-tac-toe, either diagonally, horizontally, vertically, and choose 3 items that are on the board. So I'm making a card and my line will be vertical. So watch out on Saturday. It will go live something like 2 a.m. Mountain Time, because the rest of the girls, they are all around the world, but I think the lady who organises it is in the UK, and it goes live at her time in the UK. So thank you again for joining me, and thank you for waiting until I got the video sorted out again. I promise one of the days I'll be able to do it just straight away. So thanks again. I'll see you all really soon, and hopefully I'll see you on Saturday as well. Thanks everybody. Bye.